And my heart goes boom, boom, boom. And my heart goes boom, boom, boom.
Welcome to the Health and Wellbeing Show. My name's Tranjit. Today we're going to be talking about mind, body and soul. So we're going to really look at in depth what is health and wellbeing. And today my guest who's going to be joining me to speak about her take on health and wellbeing is going to be Aisha Khan. Welcome Aisha Khan to the Health and Wellbeing Show. It's a pleasure to have you here today. So you tell me a little bit about your experience with health and wellbeing. What gives you, an everyday regime of health and the wellbeing aspect of it?
Well, I think at first, no, I didn't actually have much of a regime
Okay.
in my life, but slowly as we get older,
Yes.
I've learned to start to incorporate that into my life, and the incorporation of that into as a daily practice has finally, proved its value and worth. That I do feel.
So what's your everyday regime that you've started incorporating, even if it's one thing you do that really kind of gives you that kind of well-being aspect of it? I mean, we'll explain what well-being and health is, because
Yes.
health,
It's such a huge subject.
huge subject, and throughout the shows we will be talking about different aspects and also inviting guests on, about health and fitness, about maybe well-being, about the mind, and as today you're here today to talk a little bit about that. So you tell me a little bit about your regime, like we just said.
I think, like yourself, we sort of have all worked out that you need a holistic approach in your life to manage the daily challenges, to manage life events, to manage everything that all of us face in life. Me personally, exercise, yoga, spirituality, prayer, not incorporated in my life, I suppose. In every aspect of my life now it's incorporated. Slowly we build up with the level of incorporation. I started originally with basic breathing techniques. I suffered sort of levels of anxiety when I was a lot younger, and was referred to doctors and allopathic doctors who suggested.
So on the well-being aspect of it, I think anxiety is a big thing.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people out there do suffer from anxiety, stress, depression, and that really impacts on your well-being.
Absolutely. And learning these techniques are so
and the
readily
breathing
available.
ones,
Definitely. I mean, for myself, medication didn't work.
Yes.
It was an issue where medication couldn't work because there were underlying, issues that I needed to sort out. The first step was controlling anxiety attacks.
How did you control the anxiety attack?
Yogic breathing.
Okay.
And that was my first experience of, oh my God, these things that we often think of, strange theories from foreign lands, actually have a practical application and work.
Okay.
The importance of exercise, the importance of a positive mind frame.
And making healthier choices.
Absolutely.
Healthier choices, for example,
Cut
food.
the fat food.
Fat food, yeah.
Fast food, not fat food. I think slightly, maybe that's what they should be called.
Yeah, the fat foods, really making those really simple, healthy choices of maybe not having a chocolate bar, but having an apple or fruit and veg. That people, it's just simple, isn't it? But sometimes
a simple way I sort of explain it is in my previous line of work I used to renovate, and I was in property management.
Okay.
And you'd have a whole house that needed renovating.
Yes.
You can't miss a room.
Yes.
Every room has a personal aspect. Every aspect of your life you need to renovate.
Okay.
So it was looking at my mind, as you say, now directly by supporting my lifestyle, by improving my lifestyle, by bringing exercise, bringing yoga, bringing 10 minutes instead of, taking the kids to school in the car, walk the dog.
Brilliant, yes.
Something as simple as that. And providing my body with proper nourishment. All these things together work so dynamically that it's almost becomes fail-safe. And the techniques, and that's why I was so happy to join you today, because I'll be learning like the viewers and people like yourself who can actually pass on these concrete tools that allow us to make dynamic change in our
Yes.
life. And
And it's all about the mindset. I'm
Absolutely.
NLP master coach in
Yes.
NLP and
Yes.
timeline therapy. So it's all about coaching and training your mind.
Yes.
So it's just a habit we have of maybe eating the wrong foods, exercising, not wanting to exercise, but
Absolutely.
you can just do simple things by, like we said, going out for a walk, yoga, just doing it in the house if you can't go out,
Absolutely.
and also having that happy state.
Yes.
The happy state meaning having that, thinking happy thoughts, having the positive affirmations, and also the self-talk has to be positive to create that well-being.
And the importance of practicing that
Yeah.
daily in your life.
Yes.
I mean, knowing the theory, I think I was a person having studied psychology, etc., in my younger years where I knew a lot of the theories. I've always had a strong interest in all of the healing arts,
Yes.
especially ones from different cultures. And, we're all from such amazing, beautiful, different cultures. And each culture has intrinsic healing arts that appertain to that culture.
Yes.
And then I realised that as much as I can read the books, it's the actual daily practice and inclusion in your life.
Yes.
And the exercise, the consistency, the fact that we have to, reground ourselves and pull us back to that mindfulness. And I was hoping, that you, with your, history and expertise, you have your own business, you're a
Yes.
professional in the field,
Yes.
to learn a few more practices that I could bring into my life.
Absolutely. I always I work with a lot of people of different ages, couples or single people or just even children, teenagers. So I do a lot of work with them.
You're a coach.
Yes, I'm
I
an
get
NLP.
confused
Yes,
between the coach and
counselling. So I'm a master in NLP, and that means neuro-linguistic programming, and that means the neuros in the brain and the language we speak as well. So we do a lot of kind of changing the way we speak, but it's all about the internal representation. So the billions
PMA,
of
I suppose positive mental attitude. I suppose.
absolutely. It's having that that attitude of being positive, but also with that in NLP, it can actually gives you the tools to model someone's excellence or model your own, create excellence in your life.
Wow.
And that means is everything you do and want to achieve, you want to create excellence. So even if you don't know how to create excellence, go model someone's excellence.
So sort of, I suppose people may know fake it to make it type of.
Fake it until you make it.
Absolutely.
So if you want to become a coach,
Sort
or if
of
you
put
want
it
to
in place, I suppose, a mentor or
Yeah.
someone who you personally look up to.
yes.
To sort of copy their.
Yeah, so for example, I love Deepak Chopra. He's so
Yes.
inspirational.
Yes.
And Wayne Dyer, he was like a motivational
yes,
godfather. He was
absolutely.
a very good speaker, and he was a
Passed
very good.
recently,
He's
I
passed
believe.
recently, yes. And with Deepak Chopra, he really talks about the mind-body soul connection. Really talks about the neurons in our brain. How if the way we think is the way we
Directly
become that
affects
way.
our
Yeah,
body.
it impacts our body. So I always thought that thoughts are just in our brain, which they are, but our thinking can affect the whole of our body. Each cell's
Absolutely.
connected. Each neural.
And science is now beginning
Yeah.
to prove that.
I mean, I'm no
correlation.
scientist. I'm not really scientifically qualified to give information. It's just what I've
Yes.
learned over time.
Yes.
But I really believe in. My belief is that the scientific, the mind-body-soul connection, that we really look at, what we think, so we become. So whatever we think, we create our reality. So if you're constantly thinking, some people are hypochondriacs or constantly thinking they're ill or they're sick, they've got a stomach ache, constantly thinking, negatively. Like I had a friend that constantly would say, I'm feeling tired, I've always got a headache, I've got a headache and I've got a stomach ache, I just don't feel right. And that was sometimes excuses for not to go out.
Yes.
And
I think we've all got
that
those friends.
become her pattern of actually talking, of actually being, and she couldn't change her language to positivity. That, you know, try to ignore the signs. You know, I know you can't say can't ignore a stomachache if it's hurting you, but try to think that it's going, but thinking different about it.
Changing the approach to.
So health and your mind are connected.
I suppose it brings in that psychological self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely.
That what you believe, what you say, you will manifest.
Yeah. The law of attraction. You know, whatever we
Absolutely.
think, and we create our reality, and it kind of it bounces back at us. You know, whatever we think and we say, it comes back to us.
I think we have so many strains on our time. We have so many as women, you know, as men as well. You know, we're very time short.
Yes.
We have so many demands on our time, and none of us bring this into a daily routine. And it's people like yourself who can give us access to those tools, to the different type of therapies. And it is a very individualistic journey.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really about, like I said, it's really about how you think about things and how you can change. Change can be instantaneously, but it's going to take, it takes time to change a habit. But we will go into a lot of detail after the break. We're going to have a break, and it'd be great to hear more from yourself on your, you know, your health regime and your holistic approach to, you know, yourself. So we're going to go for a break now, and we'll come back and we'll talk more about health and well-being. Thank you.
And my heart goes boom, boom, boom. And my heart goes boom, boom, boom.
Welcome back to the second half of our health and wellbeing show. I was talking to Aisha Khan just before the break. We were talking really about how to kind of, you know, your health regime, and how holistically that we can feed the brain really on you know positive
An amazing way to put it, feed the brain.
Yeah. I like to use that because we feed our body, and you know, with the health aspect, we've got to feed our body with you know, healthy food.
Absolutely.
And feed the brain. We need to feed the brain with positive, you know, affirmations, surrounding yourself with positive people, even watching TV, you know, watching positive things on TV.
Absolutely.
And feeding the brain is really important.
And I think we've lost that sense of priority. I mean, you know, I know as myself, I often take care of my laptop better than I take care of my own life. We reprogram it, we update it, house and maintenance, you know, my car's needs its MOT tomorrow, and I'll rush like crazy for that.
Yeah,
but when do I prioritise myself, my health needs, my well-being, my spiritual needs, my emotional needs? And by realising and giving yourself, you know, that power, that empowerment, that value, you know, really does create.
That's really
positive.
interesting, because you know, you're saying value, because a lot of times we've got very busy schedules, we're rushing around, and we never give time for ourselves. And you know, like when I mean time for ourselves, we're rushing around, and that's where we cause stress, anxiety, panic attacks. You know,
it's endemic in our society
and
now.
I had a client that had constant panic attacks because they had so much to do, had a family, also had, you know,
I can relate to that. I think as you know,
and had a family, had a business to run. Also, you know, trying to meet a relationship need, but equally she didn't know how to stop. And you know, all the simple things I gave her was a tools, were actually just to kind of, you know, maybe you need a time to kind of sleep, because she wasn't even sleeping because it was constantly on the go.
Basic needs had left.
Yeah, and simple as that.
And then we worry why we crash.
Absolutely. Or take time out for yourself by going out for a walk. Take time out, go and exercise. Go and meet some friends. Go and have social interaction, because social interaction for your well-being does wonders.
Absolutely.
When you're meeting a friend, family,
Girly
you know,
nights.
girly nights out, you know, guys' nights out, they love it. You know, so it's all about actually creating that own well-being for yourself. You know, is actually, you have to stop.
And it's important
you have to you know, realign and reflect on what are you actually doing. Why are you not in that state of well-being? Why are you not in that happy state? You know that song, I'm happy, gets you going, doesn't it? That,
Absolutely.
I forgot that song, but do you know that?
I know the Don't Worry,
Yeah,
Be
but-
Happy
yeah.
one, but I won't sing it. I don't think
Yeah,
that would.
but people should be, but they're not happy because they got so much going on, and having those panic attacks wasn't helping that lady. So me giving her simple breathing techniques like you mentioned
Absolutely.
earlier on really helped her, and that was just to kind of, and throughout the day, what I suggested to her is maybe why don't you set your an alarm on your phone, 10 minutes, give yourself,
Period of
reflect.
meditation.
Meditation, but it's reflect on what is important right here and now, because she was rushing to one project, then to the next project, never would actually accomplish everything, and a panic attack was on because she couldn't achieve
Yes.
what she was meant to do.
And
She wasn't
sometimes
focused.
We're working 3 steps ahead.
That's
of
Yeah.
our position.
So you're trying to maybe thinking of maybe what I'm going to cook when I get home for the family.
Absolutely.
You're cooking, right? I've got that business contact. I've got a phone. I've got to set up that meeting.
So many
I've got
strains on our time.
my boss is waiting for this project or this presentation I've got to deliver. You've got so much things on the go that you're going to cause a panic attack because you don't know how to relax. And and that is not creating, a healthy mind, and that's going to cause you to break down at some point. So I think it's really important that we, like I suggested to that lady, set 10 minutes on your clock, your phone, because we've always got our phones in our hands. To actually put it aside, and then maybe say, I'll be back in a minute. And maybe go for a walk out the office or in your house or wherever you are.
Just that 5 minutes
5
time
minutes,
in it,
and
if
you know that
can
5
take
minutes,
it.
because I do that a lot, gives me a new look on things, a new
Absolutely.
approach.
Absolutely.
So I think it's really important that we actually adapt those things. But feeding the mind, like we were talking about.
Yes.
How do you feed your mind?
Like I said, I put away the fast food. Started actually looking at food as fuel.
Yeah.
Started respecting my body enough to be conscious of what was going in. It's a personal choice of mine, mainly to go for fresh foods, for unprocessed foods, realizing that the different values of different foods, we both come from cultures where Ayurvedic, natural healing, food has been used as a part of healing for centuries.
Yes.
And sort of really understanding the connection of nurturing your body, feeding your body properly, and knowing that all these
Nourishment,
absolutely,
isn't it?
it's
It's having a good appetite. You got to feed that good appetite.
Absolutely.
If you don't feed that good the appetite,
And
then
understanding the needs of your body,
Absolutely.
understanding, I often say to my kids, you don't have to like it, you have to know it's good for you. You're fueling yourself.
Yes.
We have to maintain.
And our emotional well-being, the feelings we get, that really creates
Addressing
your
that,
reality.
absolutely.
Doesn't it? That really makes you
And
be aware.
we all, have faced emotional problems. None of us are any different on that level.
Absolutely.
We've all faced loss, we've faced trauma. Some of us more than others at times have faced, serious challenges which can affect us on an emotional level, can affect us, can precipitate periods of depression, anxiety,
Absolutely.
manic depression.
Yeah.
So all of these techniques that we're talking about on the program, and hopefully in the future you'll be able to expand on them.
Absolutely. When you have trauma or loss, it changes your whole life, your aspect. So when we talk about well-being, you become saddened. You become you become depressed because you've lost that person you love. You become kind of hurt, because you're never gonna see that person again. And that's where your well-being, the happy state, kind of is not there.
But that's the
because
legacy.
you have a massive loss, don't you?
But our legacy, I suppose, is to be positive, to use that, to precipitate, use that as a
It
point.
makes you grow.
Absolutely.
What doesn't kill you, it makes you
It
grow,
makes you
doesn't it?
stronger.
It makes you stronger, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And that's where we have to really look at how we can actually adapt those strategies. And throughout our show, we'll be talking a lot about different ways and different methods of health, well-being, and how to get us on that happy state the content state, the inner peace, because we're all looking for inner peace.
Yes.
Every one of us want happiness, and that's everybody's goal, isn't it?
I put
To
it
be
into
happy.
my sat nav on the way here today.
Yes.
You know, find inner peace. I often, as you know, we
Yeah.
say, I think
Finding the peace within.
absolutely, and it's so intrinsically important
Yes.
to us. And you know, thank God now that we are getting to a stage where we have access. I mean, the internet, social media gives us such huge access and awareness to different, you know, aspects and different tools that we can use.
Like feeding the brain, you know, we can Google a lot of inspirational speakers.
From everything, I mean, we
Ev-
mentioned Wayne
yeah.
Dyer, Deepak Chopra.
Yes.
There's a middle, and we all have our individual mentors. We all have, you know, people.
Everybody needs a coach.
Absolutely.
Like I'm a coach, you know, I need a coach to coach me. And, you know,
Absolutely. A
for
guide,
me
a
to,
guru.
a guide, yeah, a guru, a spiritual teacher.
Absolutely.
We all need someone to kind of help us on a mental level.
But I think
And
it's important for you to choose the one that's specific to your needs and your views.
Yes.
You know, to get that
Yes.
coaching, to get
Yes.
those tools from people that resonate with yourself. You know,
Absolutely.
so it can be individually tailored. And I mean, I love that about yourself, that although you provide workshops as well, you do, you know, demonstrations and work within the community, you also give that one-to-one time.
Absolutely.
That's so important, that creates, you know, a framework for that individual person that's bespoke, tailored to that
Yes.
client.
Yes.
And I know with myself, you know, I always view myself as quite a strange, eclectic person with a wide range of views. Yet in my specific needs have been met through a lot of things that other people may be coming from an absolutely different need. There are generic places we can come to.
Absolutely.
There's generic healing, there's generic tools that we can use.
There's so much stuff that can help you for, you know, self-help. There's so much, you know, things out there in the media, you know, people you can meet. There's so many, you know, like we just said, internet, you can
We have
Google
access to it
access
now.
And also, like myself, I give people tools. I coach people to kind of, you know, reach their full potential. I actually get them to realise what they really want in their life.
Absolutely.
And I love that part of my job because it's so rewarding. When I see change in others, positive changes, it kind of, you know, gives me that satisfaction that, you know, I feel like it's me, because I always empathise with other people by looking at that they are me, I am them. So it's really important to us to actually, you know, incorporate that in our life, to give us that actual, you know,
Common humanity.
the common humanity and the well-being.
As you know, with myself, you know, my passions are social enterprise and economic empowerment and social empowerment. And, you know, the simple process of engaging in empowering others, especially, you know, people from, you know, third world countries where there's huge need, great, you know, poverty, and you empower people out of those situations is such, you know,
I think that's
it's
so
a selfless
empowering.
act,
Absolutely.
but the benefits are actually, you know, very selfish. You know, I find huge personal benefit from that, huge satisfaction. So, you know, whereas before
So
I
that
was...
gives you the edge kind of things, makes you feel happy, doesn't it? And that's where the glow
Absolutely.
comes, doesn't it?
I mean,
it's your passion, isn't it?
With myself, as you know, I was always in commercial business before.
Yes, you was.
And lost passion
Properties
for
you was
that.
into, was
yes,
you?
well,
Yes.
security first
Yes.
and property after that. And yes, I was very passionate about both industries, but in the end the focus became on money.
Yes.
Whereas my passion actually was people.
So we're going to take a break right now, and we're going to come back and talk more about, you know, your social enterprise and how you felt it was more about people.
Yes.
So we're going to take a break, and we'll come back shortly. Thank you.
And my heart goes boom, boom, boom. And my heart goes boom, boom, boom. Hey!
Welcome back to our Health and Wellbeing show. We were just talking to Aisha about her actual business, and also about how she, in your business, how you help others.
Business, passion, I
passion,
suppose, like,
yeah.
I don't know where we draw the line.
Yes.
I mean,
I think, like you just said, that key word, passion, that's the driver.
Absolutely.
I always believe your passion is the driver. So when you're passionate about making a difference and helping others, that actually drives you, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? To achieve what you want to achieve in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives you the will to wake up and the will to deal with all the other tedious parts of life.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that was very important for me.
Yes.
that-
Talk us through it, yes.
Well, 20 years in commercial business, I kind of realised that the only thing that really mattered at the end of the day were numbers. Numbers that I can't relate to, figures, profits, profit margins, losses, which wasn't why I started and wasn't what I enjoyed.
Right.
It wasn't my passion.
Yes.
Coming from a Pakistani and English background and always having travelled a lot, and both my parents always encouraged us to, wherever we went, to see the reality of the situations there. So I realised that unless, basically financially I had to work. I wasn't ready to go and give up my life to, good cause. I couldn't. My children needed too many, bills need to be paid.
Yes.
So I needed to find a commercial business that would still allow me to, use that passion as a driving force. And as you know, social change and economic empowerment, social empowerment is so important to me. But basically, the core value is that same things that we were saying. The need for us to heal ourselves, after healing, the need for us to positively empower ourselves. And by doing that, and it's something that I hear a lot is, from healing friends of mine, therapists of mine, that when you actually give therapy, when you give healing, you're actually healing and giving therapy as much to yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is a very, very good point, and that's what you saying you believe that when you're healing somebody else, you're healing yourself.
Absolutely.
And how have you done that then? So give me an example on how you've actually felt like you've healed others when you're doing.
I think sometimes, let's not, put it on a huge platform. Sometimes it's as basic as answering that phone. Sometimes it's as basic as not offering judgment. Calling someone.
Just being that listening.
Just being that listening point. Yeah. Directing a person to, appropriate therapists or service providers, or just giving the person enough time to make them know that their feelings are being heard, that that you're giving value to that human being.
Yes.
And that precipitates change in them that allows them to move forward. So it's, it's not something that, we have to wait for this divine day to come. It's something as simple as, checking in on your neighbour, seeing a need that they've got, talking to that person who you walk past.
So that's your driver, isn't it? It's a self-service really to help others, and that gives you that glow, that gives you that, sense of well-being, doesn't it?
A sense of well-being, and I've got as I do with my daughters as well, the report card.
Yes.
I have a mental report card with my God, and I'm like, okay, that's something God would enjoy, God would like that I did.
Yes.
So I've sort of always added to that tally.
Yes.
Of, spirituality is very important to me, and humanity. So by serving humanity, by serving people, by helping in any way I possibly can, then that serves my personal spiritual journey. So that again is by helping people, we help ourselves.
That's right. Yes.
One of those, considered an old-fashioned, maybe ideology, but I think it still stands.
Yeah, when I used to work a lot, I used to work with families and children quite a lot, and they used to come with, numerous problems. If they're destitute, domestic violence, homelessness, or even just feeling depressed, or just feeling kind of isolated at home and feeling stuck in their life, not sure what to do. I used to always put myself in their shoes, and then, when I used to put myself in their shoes, I used to feel that I could serve them better, actually help them better, because actually really adapting, on an emotional level, because if you were on an emotional level, I wouldn't actually break down, but I would actually really sense, how would I want to be helped? So, I would actually think, right, because obviously I'm not in that environment, that situation.
From
so
their
actually, I'll be able to kind of give suggestions and advice to kind of get them and gear them out of it. And that's where my passion kind of came about, is in coaching. I really felt that, I had the ability to kind of create, change in people, positive change. But I always knew it always has to come from that person, the change. I can suggest like, you know, I can just, it's down to them.
It has to be led.
Yeah, it has to be led. Even if you know, if you want to say to someone, right, you need to exercise, you need to kind of get in that gym and
That
keep
zone.
fit. You can't actually, you know, force them. It's got to have to be with
It has to.
come
It
from
has to.
themselves. And I think it's really important that we actually, you know, encourage people to really kind of, you know,
I think that
have a healthier lifestyle, and that's what we're here on this show to promote: a healthier lifestyle through your mind as well as your fitness.
I think we spoke earlier about there's a difference with therapy, counselling, and a coach.
Yes.
And one of the things that I personally, why I'm so attracted to the idea of coaching, is it's actually it's often that, you know, through therapy, through counselling, we identify issues with our personalities, the way we perceive things.
Yes.
Yet we're told to sort of go off gallantly and work it out. Whereas what you actually do is provide those practical, pragmatic things that we can do in our everyday life for dynamic change. So it's sort of, you know, that gym theory. I can tell you what size you are.
Yes.
But, you know, I can tell you your health
So
needs.
gym for the mind. It's just
isn't it?
a
That
gym
mind
for the
gym.
mind. Yeah,
Absolutely.
the mind gym, like
mind
we
gym.
spoke about before.
Absolutely.
And if we kind of keep exercising and our brain as well as our physical body, you know, we're gonna have that state of well-being, have that state of kind of, you know, really be passionate on what you want in your life, because a lot of times we don't know what we want. And my job is actually, I haven't got the answers. The answers is within you, so I just coach the answers out of you, and there comes the conclusion themselves, and that's when they adapt the change. And the adapting the change is actually small little changes. So, for example, a pattern of our thinking of waking up in the morning, instead of actually dragging yourself out of bed, maybe, you know, kind of have that, you know, gratification, you know, be grateful for things. A few moments of being grateful of life itself.
Absolutely.
Maybe affirmations, but maybe also meditation, yoga.
Absolutely.
I personally, I do a lot of yoga in the morning. I do breathing techniques like you was mentioning earlier, and that kind of gives me a lot of kind of oxygen to the brain, you know, because
so
a lot of
many
the time
health
we don't realise we haven't got a lot of oxygen to the brain. So just breathing, you know, breathing really deeply in and exhaling out is fantastic.
Such a simple technique.
Simple, and that is fantastic for stress, depression,
anxiety management,
panic
mental
attacks,
health.
mental health. So really, when doing this, feeding the brain, like we said, and the gym, you know, mind gym,
Absolutely.
we can actually incorporate all these simple strategies, and that is just changing a pattern, you know, of your thinking, or the pattern of your routine in the morning, or even during the day. You know, I really truly believe if we actually just kind of reflected on our thinking, our thought patterns, and actually what is our emotional well-being, what state are we in, we can feel it, can't we?
Mindfulness, I suppose, is one of the terms that
being mindful
of that moment, and, you know, having that level of introspection where you can actually start addressing issues, because you know, we are living in a society where we can push ourselves and our needs to one side again and again, and we have cultural, you know, differences that maybe don't allow us or don't offer us the opportunity to explore different areas of healing. So I believe this is going to be one of the programs where you're going to provide a platform for all different aspects.
Absolutely.
You know, not just one specific.
And we'll talk a lot about, you know, self-empowerment, and that's why my company is called Be Empowered, because I actually want to empower people. I want people to have the power, you know, that I have. I want them to incorporate that, because I believe anybody, you know, can do anything they want. It's only if they had the awareness and the how. You know, how to actually, you know, action things. Because a lot of the time we have the awareness, but sometimes we just don't know the how. How can I do it? How can I actually go out there and think differently, or exercise, or, you know, be healthy? I don't know how. So in this show, you know, not hopefully we will, is bring guests in and bring, you know, people who are maybe, you know, give us more insight. You know, feeding our brain, feeding our body with information and knowledge about how we can actually, you know, stay healthy and fit and actually become, you know, healthy beings and you know, positive
and we'll pass
beings.
that on to the next generations as
Yes,
well, which is
children,
such an
our
important
children.
thing.
And I think that's really important. Yes.
And I do think, and you know, myself, I'm from a Pakistani background.
I'm a
you're
Sikh
from
background,
a Sikh
that's right,
background. We
yes.
have so many things that bring us together, but yet we have so many individual needs culturally. From every different culture has their traditions, their needs, and as women, we're often told that, you know, our emotional needs should be put to one side in favour of our children, our personal needs, you know, you know, given lower priority
Yes.
to those in the family. And it is important that, and
Absolutely.
especially, you know, for the viewers who, you know, are living all across the world, to realise that regardless, now we've got to a point where regardless of what cultural backgrounds, our cultural needs, these services are available, specifically tailored to each aspect. And, you know, by doing this, our children and our next generations will be more aware of, you
Absolutely, yeah.
know, mental
And
health issues that are
yes.
causing problems in our...
I think if they had the right tools of actually the foundation
Yes.
of how we can actually empower them and also think positively, eat healthily, you know, we're on the right track. But we'll talk more about that after the break.
Perfect.
We'll actually, you know, go into detail about how it's going to benefit you know, our next generation, and also, you know, culturally, we can discuss that. So thank you very much, and we'll take a break now.
And my heart goes boom, boom, boom. And my heart goes boom, boom, boom.
Welcome back to the Health and Wellbeing Show. We were just before the break, we were just talking about a foundation really for health and wellbeing for children. If we set, you know, giving them healthy food, giving them, you know, healthy affirmations maybe to our children, we can really create a fantastic foundation for our next generation.
And it's so important to do that.
And you know, just on that point, with my children, they actually do that now. They actually, you know, eat healthily. They're both vegetarians because their mother's a vegetarian. You know, to disgust of their dad, who's a meat eater. You know, but really creating that healthy. You know, choices, the healthy choices, that's the thing.
Absolutely.
You know, we're giving them the healthy choices, but equally feeding the mind as well.
But to lead by example.
Yes.
And not even our children, I think, within our extended families.
Extended families,
you know,
too.
within
our culture.
Our culture.
Yes.
You know, we need to lead by example. We need to put these in place. That,
being
you know,
the role model. Because if we're the
absolutely.
role model, our children, like you just said, follow from example. So if we're making healthier choices in our eating, if we're actually exercising, if we're actually, and even if it's not to go to the gym, even going for a walk, the children will see that. Even not taking the car everywhere, walk.
Absolutely.
You know, you can actually, that's how you create a bond as well with your child, by actually going out for a
That's
walk
quality
and talking.
time, the importance
you know,
of quality
and I think
time.
it's really important. And also, you know, feeling nature, because we, you know, a lot of us are cooped up in the house. Take the car everywhere, you know, don't actually
Concrete jungles.
Yeah, concrete
we live
jungle.
In.
You know,
That theory.
that song, you know, we live in a concrete jungle. But the thing is, if we actually explored and went out there, and you know, not necessarily going to the gym all the time, or actually, because that stops people from exercising. To be honest with you, it stops me.
I think
if I was to go to the gym, I think that I would kind of get bored. I'm more of a walker.
Yes.
I'm more of nature. I'm more of a like get out there and, you know, I love walking anyway.
Where can you connect? I suppose.
I connect with nature. I connect spiritually as well and emotionally.
Music
it makes me
and
feel
dance.
great. Yeah, it just makes me feel great.
Absolutely.
You know, what makes you feel great?
What makes me feel good? I'm lucky actually, and I think the further I've got along with the spiritual and, you know, well-being journey,
Yes.
I find more and more things that I find great. Music was a huge part of my life. I come from a tradition of Sufi Islam, which is includes a lot of music in our worship, trance, mantras. You know, I know we've
hypnosis,
spoken.
trance. You know, that sounds really good. Yeah.
You know, used
But
in.
always in a trance, don't you think so?
I think actually the
Watch
going
telly, you're
in,
in a trance.
isn't it?
You're looking out the window, you're in a trance. So we don't
Absolutely.
realise we're always in a trance.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
but that point at which where music and dance allow you to sort of lose connection and it sort of come to
Gives you
source,
that
as
happy
we
vibe
say.
as well, doesn't it? State.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and
And
we don't
laughter.
we don't have to be physically fit. We don't have to be healthy. Music, even just a little
Yes.
bopping movement
Yes.
in our chair.
Yes.
For all generations,
Yes, absolutely.
access, like you said, laughter. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember seeing a program about laughter therapy
Yes.
classes, and I found them quite funny,
Yeah.
and that was the point.
It's
And,
like now you're laughing, I'm laughing.
Exactly.
And that, there comes to think that me and my sister went to this laughter therapy session, and all they did was like going, ha 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 ha. They were just laughing and laughing,
Absolutely.
and we were just actually in hysterics because they were laughing,
Yes.
and it was just in a circle.
Yes,
and
but it
they were just
worked.
throwing their arms up and laughing. And the point behind that was just laugh sometimes, have a good time.
We're
and
all
that
too
will actually,
serious,
we're
isn't
all-
it?
yes.
We're all too
Yes.
serious. Life's
Yeah.
got,
Yeah.
there's so many things that
Yes.
challenge us. There's so many,
Yeah, laugh with your children, laugh with your husband, your partner, your friends,
if you
your
don't know what to do,
parents.
dance, laugh,
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
those choices
Yeah.
that can make
But
you.
sometimes we just don't though. We're all in a state of actually robotically wanting to moan, groan, or feel sad.
It's
We get into
absolutely.
that state of then the well-being's not there.
But
isn't
we have
it?
to accept those times as well. And I do a rule with myself where I don't go past the three-day mark, where I'll allow 3 days of absolute abject self-pity, as we all do deserve to, at
Yes.
some point.
Yes.
And then I'll look and I'll say, actually now, that's enough. Get over yourself. Where are those things that you're going to bring back into your life to move you out? And sometimes, there's times where I want to see no one, close my door to the world. But I fight to, go and spend 10 minutes, as you say, nature. These things that we can access. There is nobody that can
You have
access
to have
peace
that
can't.
strategy all that way to kind of get you out
Absolutely.
of that 3-day or
Absolutely.
rule.
There's
you
nobody,
have.
I believe, who can't access peace of mind. Even if it is a 10-minute soak in the bath. Treat yourself, buy yourself some aromatherapy oils, do a little research. Everyone has the
Surround
time.
yourself with good people, positive
Absolutely,
beings, to uplift you,
absolutely.
social interaction, like I mentioned
Absolutely,
earlier.
absolutely.
And have a good laugh, have a good dance, like you said, music, to kind of create, when you're in the feeling down, is actually find something that's going to pull you out
To
of it
release.
somehow, to release it.
Absolutely.
Phone a friend, phone a sibling.
Phone a few friends.
Phone a few
Isn't
friends.
it?
Have
Phone
a
a
party.
few friends.
Do something that's going to create that change of state you're
And
in,
if
the
you-
emotion of,
Even if we
yeah.
can't get that positive, drive to do that.
Yes.
Love, my mother had always an amazing piece of advice. If you can't help yourself, help somebody else.
That's it.
As simple as that. At
Yes.
times we do feel helpless. At times even, the simple thing of going and, putting on some decent clothes to go and do the daily chores.
Yes.
But take any opportunity you can to go out there, and if you would feel that bad, go and help someone in more need than you. Spend 5 minutes, just disassociate yourself from yourself.
Yes.
Go and do something.
So that's a really good point, actually. Get out your own problem and serve someone else's
Yes.
problem, and then you forget your own problem.
Absolutely.
And
For that 5
that's
minutes.
very good. That's a very good point, because I think it's really important to actually, we worry, stress of our problems, and that's going to cause us more anxiety and stress and depression. So, but if you actually go out of your own problem and serve somebody else, that's where you can actually say, actually, what is my problem?
It gives you a perspective.
It gives you perspective.
It gives
but
you a perspective.
And it actually really makes you think that your problem is nothing, really.
And often, I find that the people with the most problems, the people who are suffering, terminal illnesses, the people who are suffering huge, as we see with displaced migrants at the moment, the huge suffering that is in the world. But yet these people tend to be the most inspirational.
Absolutely.
The people who will give you
Yes.
that inspiration.
Yes.
And you look and you will be in awe of their inner strength,
Yes.
despite the turmoil
Yes.
they're making. they're going through.
That's so true. I've come across, because I worked a lot with disabled families and children, so I worked with a lot of families that had disabled children.
Yes.
And I used to find so much kind of inspiration from these families and these children, because considering they had a lot of challenges with their illnesses or their conditions, they still found the strength to smile and
Despite
laugh.
that, absolutely.
And that was so inspirational, and that's made me as a person to you have to fight these challenges in your life.
Absolutely.
And look at the solution instead of the problem. Be more solution focused. So if you always looked at the problem, it's not going to get you anywhere, because you're actually focused on that. But if you actually looked at the solution and keep reevaluating what is the solution to my problem and focused on that, that's when you start seeing the light in that dark tunnel.
And the
that you're actually
amazing
going
thing
through.
is it creates such good dynamic change
Yeah.
across families as well.
Yes.
You know, I've seen that one or two people in a family change a family, that family, 2 or 3 families in a community change a community.
Absolutely.
And slowly.
Could you imagine how much change we can actually occur if everybody,
just with our viewers.
Just with our viewers, but actually just getting our viewers to change their mindset.
Absolutely.
The way, just a habit a day change. I always say change a habit a day.
Maybe that's a challenge we should give the viewers.
So maybe in our next episode, maybe we need to talk more about how we can actually change our mindset.
Absolutely.
A habit a day to change, a pattern of our language, our behaviour, our thoughts, and creating positive change and empowering yourself to empower others. And I think that's really going to kind of set a trend, maybe only if people are willing to change.
I think we are seeing a global trend, come forward.
Global trend of changing our mindset.
Dynamic. It's palpable.
Yes, and to do that, I think we have a platform. The Health and Wellbeing Show is going to give us a platform of actually telling viewers out there how they can actually change their mindsets and how they actually can create massive differences by doing one small change, making big differences. So on our next show, we can actually maybe discuss how to change our mindsets. And today, has been a fantastic show. Thank you for joining me today, and hopefully you'll come on my show again.
I hope so. Otherwise, I'll be watching. That will be one of my practices.
Yes, and to really appreciate you actually giving your side of your health and well-being regimes, and also be looking out for your social enterprise empowerment business as well. I'm really looking forward to maybe having you back on and discussing that aspect of it. But thank you, and thank you for the viewers out there for listening to us about health and well-being. And we will, in future shows, inviting guests, like we said, about emotional well-being, welfare, many things about health and fitness. What is it? What are we eating? What are we actually fueling our bodies with? What are we fueling our minds with? So in our next episodes, we will be discussing in depth a lot about the well-being and the welfare side of it, and the emotional side of it. So thank you for joining us on this show, and we'll see you soon.
And my heart goes boom, boom, boom.